I'm not sure how big these guys were in the rest of the world, but they were massive in the UK. They're from Manchester, it's the Gallagher brothers, Oasis is the entire band, and they are completely untrained, yet have beautiful tenor voices, which normally people work really hard for, but I feel like it's all natural in these guys. That is such a classic Oasis sound of starting kind of with your mouth closed on your vowel, self, and going all the way around it. I sound so weird if I do it, and all these things, I keep on saying, it's a lot of these things that come really naturally to certain people, and if it isn't natural to you, it sounds really strange on your voice. So it's kind of finding things that you naturally do in finding your own unique voice, but there might be things that you naturally do in your expression when you're speaking and you're not putting them into your singing. That's when you can kind of consciously add them in. But I think a lot of these really weird things like going around like that, I sound like a weird Cockney person, which is weird because these guys are from Manchester and have very strong Manchester accents. There it is again. So here, this is really interesting because he's got his chin raised and he's got his mic there. It's a classic kind of his stance. Again, this is the thing that's interesting. It works for some people. It really does not work for others. And often you'll see people raise their chins when they're singing things. Someone like Ariana Grande, incomparable to these people, but she does it a lot. Raises her chin. Now, this can help some people by making it easier sometimes to get higher. Sometimes. For most people, what happens is these muscles tense up around the neck when you raise your neck like that. If you do that, you might feel them tense up, and then that causes problems. He seems to be able to keep nice and relaxed and raise his chin, so it might actually be helping him. Again, it has to feel very natural, and if it doesn't come with tension, then it's probably good. If it does come with tension, it's probably not going to work for you. So, play around with these things. Tension is not your friend, though. That's when you're going to get, like, tight singing. Way. All the way around it. The posture, everything. They're great songwriters as well. Look, his pitching is so excellent, and a lot of the things he's technically doing, his posture, things like that, should not work. I'm going to keep on drilling it in. Those things that just sometimes work for some people, it also makes him unique. Sometimes you see singers like that. I haven't heard him in recent years, but you see singers who have been singing with natural technique that might not work for everyone, get into their later years, and it means that they fatigue their voice a lot and their voice isn't working to the same extent. or sometimes it just really works for that person's body. There's something to bear in mind. Every voice is different, every body is different. There's no cut and paste way of singing, and some people, you know, and vocal coaches as well, will often prescribe certain things. This is the correct way. But the reality is, there is so many styles of music, it's so subjective, and everyone has a different body. That means that breath and resonance and the shapes that you make, everything's going to react differently. Sound is going to react differently in your body than it is in someone else's, and it's going to produce a different sound, even if you approached it in exactly the same way. So, I'm sure he's not worried about the correct way of singing either. I'll tell you something that he is doing really excellently for someone who's untrained is that he's really dropping his jaw. Na, na, and you're getting a lot of space. That's what's allowing him to have that twangy, slightly nasal sound, but yet keep warm and on pitch by really opening up. So he's again naturally going to something that is helping him balance. And maybe, I always say, is it natural or is it just he's sung a lot? He's probably sung a lot and worked out his voice, maybe not with a vocal coach, but himself. And he's listened to his body and he's realized, oh, okay, well, that feels a bit wobbly, so let's try and adapt this, and found ways to make it work. And he's ended up with such a unique sound. It's so interesting. You know what I find really interesting is that there's something so cool about the fact, and it's very British, and of just being like, I'm going to stand here. I'm going to stand here and listen, and I'm not going to perform. There is, obviously, you have loads of British artists. You have Freddie Mercury, who's going to be like, yeah, if this was happening, he'd be like vibing with it. But there's something very much like, having that attitude of like, I'm enough and I don't need to do anything extra, and it makes the audience be like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, I'm gonna sit and listen. It makes you want to listen to what they're doing almost more, because you're like, you don't feel the need to add anything to this. You don't feel the need to cover this with performance, which is interesting. Again, I love a big performance sometimes. It's not always about that, but I think that it's finding what feels right for you, and both ways can work. that's it. They're done. It's such an interesting way of performing, and it's so different than my background in singing and in performance, and yet it really, really works. And it just shows that the ways that we're often taught to beat isn't always correct, and you have to be very sure of yourself in this industry. Things that don't seem like they should work sometimes really, really do, but it has to be truthful, it has to be real, otherwise it doesn't. Thank you for watching. If you have any suggestions, please do drop me a text. My number is down in the description, or you can send me an email at requests@bethroars.com. Also, please do like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.